You have to protect it.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie. You guys have probably noticed how there are a lot of scenes in the Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer that seem to reference scenes from Game of Thrones Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot episode. Because this is the final season of the main show, there'll probably be a lot of big moments during Season 8 that will pay reference to big scenes from the pilot episode. We already know about a couple big ones because of all the trailers and teasers that we've got, so I'll just break this down top 10 style. There's a new round of the Game of Thrones book giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. No worries about spoilers in this video, we'll just be talking about scenes that we've seen in the trailers and the teasers so far, and what the producers have talked about. Starting with number 10, the actual title of the episode. They haven't released the official titles for any of the Season 8 episodes yet, but the title of the pilot episode was Winter is Coming. What bigger callback could they have to that episode in Season 8 than calling Episode 1 something with winter in the title? They already used The Winds of Winter as the title of the Season 6 finale. During that episode, Jon said, "Winter has come." Early prediction then, they should call Season 8 Episode 1 either Winter has come, Winter is here is also a quote that Sansa said, but that doesn't sound quite as epic, but it would also be acceptable. As for the title of the other episodes, they typically don't actually pick the title of the episodes till after the scripts are finished, and they try to draw on as many book references as possible in something that pays reference to the different storylines. Like for instance, Season 7 Episode 2 is Stormborn because they were paying reference to Daenerys' name, Daenerys Stormborn, the storm that happened on the night of her birth around Dragonstone that almost destroyed an entire fleet, while at the end of that episode, Euron destroyed most of their fleet. Some of them are a little more literal, like The Winds of Winter, which is the title of the next book. Then sometimes they lean in the other direction, like Season 7, Episode 3, which was Queen's Justice, which is mostly just a reference to Cersei, Daenerys' justice, as well as the Queen of Thorns. Tell Cersei I want her to know it was me. So I'm not expecting them to try and shoehorn in like really huge book references to all the Season 8 episode titles, but we'll find out pretty soon. Number 9, Ed, Tormund, and Beric Dondarrion have a scene during the trailer where it looks like they're either at Castle Black or somewhere else. Maybe they also have a White Walker related scene entering this room here. There's really no other reason for them to have a scene at the wall with Tormund, Beric, and the Night's Watch other than to carry things forward from that moment in Season 7, Episode 7 when the Night King brought down the wall. They ran from Eastwatch by the Sea in terror and the White Walker started marching south. That would be a callback reference to the opening scene of the pilot when Waymar, Royce, Will, and Garrett found all those White Walker symbols north of the wall, even though obviously they're not going north of the wall in the Season 8 trailer scene here. Fun Easter egg here too, Waymar Royce here in this scene is Jon Royce's son, who you've been seeing the last couple of seasons up at Winterfell. Sansa actually mentioned Waymar Royce to Jon Royce during Season 4 when she went to the Vale with Littlefinger. And even though we haven't talked a lot about the Game of Thrones prequel TV series that's supposed to air next year, in the unaired Game of Thrones pilot episode, that character, Waymar Royce, was played by Jamie Campbell Bower, and he was just cast as a new character in the Game of Thrones prequel series. We don't know who he's playing, but it's just sort of closing the loop. It's just a nice callback to that unaired pilot and the Waymar Royce character. Because they found those White Walker symbols that looked a lot like the symbols that Jon and Daenerys found in the caves at Dragonstone, maybe they find something that references the White Walkers at Castle Black. Number 8, there was the scene of the Stark family at Winterfell with Ned Stark and Catelyn watching the children practice archery in the yard. Arya shows off for them after getting really bored with the needlework that Sansa is doing. There's a scene of Arya inspecting the dragon glass in the trailer, talking about death, like they're getting ready for the White Walkers to come. She's just showing everyone how badass she is. That would be a nice callback reference to Arya showing off for everyone with the archery in the pilot episode. I'm assuming that a lot of these callback scenes and references to scenes from the pilot episode 2 won't be happening in the same order in the episode, because I wouldn't expect Arya to have any kind of meeting with Gendry talking about Dragonglass before Jon Snow and Daenerys arrive, because Gendry is heading to Winterfell with Jon Snow and Daenerys, so he wouldn't arrive before them. You remember too that when Ned and Catelyn were watching them from above, Ned Stark said the words "winter is coming."
Tell Bran he's coming too.
Ned, 10 is too young to see such things.
He won't be a boy forever. And winter is coming.
There'll also probably be lots of Easter eggs in the things that people say during Season 8. There will be references to things that people said during the pilot episode. And you also remember sort of the roles that people have adopted now. So like right now, Sansa spends a lot of time walking around watching people from above like Catelyn did. She even starts to look a lot like Catelyn. She modeled her hair after her back during Season 6. So expect a lot of Catelyn Stark, Sansa Stark references during the first episode as well. There was the scene where they all find the direwolves. The producers did confirm that Ghost would be part of Season 8, even though he technically doesn't appear in the trailer as far as we can tell. There's a couple of scenes where it seems like direwolves are running with the Dothraki during the big battle. But when Jon Snow and Daenerys come back, it would make sense that Jon had some sort of reunion with Ghost, regardless of how they use him throughout the entire season. Hopefully he survives. I don't want to see him die during that big battle. But number 6, there was a scene of Ned Stark in the Godswood polishing his Valyrian sword, Ice. Catelyn walks in and says she's always felt like an outsider. They talk about the old gods and the new gods. There is a scene during the trailer where it seems like Jon Snow is standing at the Heart Tree, but I'm also expecting Bran Stark to spend a lot of time there too, just because that's where a lot of his power is. Isaac Hempstead Wright even said that Bran has sort of gotten more comfortable with his abilities, so he's better able to interact with people. He won't be quite as much of a turnip as he was during Season 7. The Godswood is one of the most powerful locations at Winterfell. It has all this deep mythology, so usually when they have scenes there, they're talking about the gods, they're talking about really, really big ideas. So anytime you see Jon Snow visit one of the biggest locations like the crypts, for instance, usually it's when the story is dealing with really, really big ideas. So number 5, there was a scene of Robert Baratheon arriving, like the big procession. That callback is obviously when Jon Snow and Daenerys are marching their army to Winterfell with the dragons through Wintertown here. But also within that scene, while they were rolling up to the gates, there was a scene of Arya climbing up on the back of the wagon, watching them march by with a smile on her face, just like the scene we see of Arya during the Season 8 trailer watching Daenerys and Jon Snow march by while she smiles, looking up at the dragons. There was also the scene of Bran climbing up on the walls to watch them march in, just like the little boys climbing up on the walls in Wintertown to watch them march through. 4, there was the actual introduction and greeting scene where Robert Baratheon walks up with Cersei to greet Ned Stark, Catelyn, and the Stark children, so obviously that's a reference to this scene of Jon introducing Daenerys to Sansa, Brienne, and even though you can't see everyone that's standing next to them here, I'm hoping that Arya, Samwell, and maybe Bran is in his wheelchair there too, but even if Bran isn't down there, maybe he'll warg a raven and watch them enter that way. 3, there's the scene of Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon in the crypts of Winterfell going to visit Lyanna Stark's statue and reminisce about Robert's rebellion, and him talking about killing Rhaegar Targaryen. Every night I kill him in my sleep.
In my dreams, I kill him every night.
It's done, Your Grace. Targaryens are gone.
Ned Stark just sitting there nodding his head, being quiet, keeping his mouth shut about the R+L equals J of it all. There are a few scenes that we've seen in the crypts of Winterfell in all the trailers and teasers, so at some point during the episode, or maybe during episode 2, Jon Snow will probably visit the crypts. Like I said, I'm not expecting every single moment that they reference from the pilot episode to happen during episode 1. Some of them might happen in episode 2, some might happen later in the season. But 2, there was the scene of Tyrion at the brothel with Ros, and even though I don't expect Tyrion to spend as much time at brothels anymore, they'll probably have some scene with him referencing the way that he used to be, or just joking about how much he used to like doing that. In number 1, even though Daenerys did get married at the end of the pilot episode, I don't expect her and Jon Snow to get married during the end of this first episode of Season 8. The story's nowhere near something like that yet. There's been so much foreshadowing about the future of their relationship, regardless of who you think is going to live and who's going to die. The next logical step would be for the realm's most eligible bachelor, who may or may not have already impregnated the realm's most eligible bachelorette, to formalize their union with a marriage. But they haven't dropped the Rhaegar Targaryen Lyanna Stark bomb yet, the Night King hasn't attacked yet, they haven't dealt with Cersei yet, and Daenerys hasn't learned that she's potentially pregnant again. So I don't think that the show would do a Jon Snow-Daenerys wedding before any of those other big WTF moments. So just remember that a lot of the references to the pilot episode might happen later in the season. You guys may have also heard about the Game of Thrones wrap party after they finished filming last year for the cast and crew. The decorations for the wrap party had a Targaryen and Stark symbol combined, so it doesn't confirm that there's going to be any kind of Jon Snow-Daenerys marriage this season, but I'll just let you speculate based on that. It just seems like everything is slowly heading in that direction, but we'll have to wait for some more evidence in the actual episodes to let us know whether or not they're going to pay that off. Let me know in the comments which other moments from the pilot episode do you think that they're going to reference during Season 8 or even during Season 8 Episode 1. There'll be more Game of Thrones videos coming later this week, so leave all your requests in the comments below. And congratulations to Ben Swolo. You're the giveaway winner from my last big Game of Thrones video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Click here for all my Season 8 Night King and White Walker Easter eggs, and click here for that brand new Season 8 behind the scenes video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.